Hola, mi nombre es Rhea.
Y mi nombre es Garrett.
Y hoy cocinaremos
Sopapillas. Necesitará 4 tazas de harina para todo uso.
2 cucharaditas de polvo de hornear.
1 cucharadita de sal.
4 cucharadas de manteca.
1,5 tazas de agua tibia.
Aceite de 2 cuartos para freír. En un tazón grande, mezcle la harina, el polvo para hornear, la sal y la manteca. Incorporar el agua, mezclar hasta que la masa esté suave, tapar y dejar reposar durante 20 minutos. Estirar sobre una tabla enharinada hasta octavo a cuarto de pulgada de espesor. Cortar en cuadrados de 3 pulgadas. Calentar el aceite en la freidora a 365 grados Fahrenheit.
Freír hasta que estén dorados por ambos lados. Escurrir sobre papel de cocina y servir caliente. delicioso.
Muy bueno.
Adiós.
Adiós. Okay. ¿Dónde creciste?
Yo nací y crecí en una ciudad que se llama Granada, en Nicaragua.
Okay. ¿Cómo fue crecer en Nicaragua?
Fue bien difícil. Fue bien difícil porque cuando yo crecí en Nicaragua estábamos teniendo una guerra civil que empezó y duró varios años y terminó en el año 1979. En 1979 es cuando yo me vine a este país porque era muy peligroso vivir allá. O sea que cuando estabas creciendo, tu vida siempre estaba en peligro por la guerra.
¿Qué fue la escuela como en Nicaragua?
Mi escuela fue muy linda. Era la mejor escuela de la ciudad y eran solo para niñas y eran monjas. Pero las monjas agarraban profesores que eran de educación muy alta y esos profesores nos daban todas las clases: matemáticas, geografía, ciencias, español, inglés, religión. Religión siempre era una materia que teníamos que llevar. Y era una educación muy adelantada, más adelantada que los Estados Unidos. Era muy buena escuela, muy bonita.
¿Tuvo que aprender un idioma
Extranjero.
extranjera, Ali?
Sí, y yo cuando vine aquí tuve que aprender inglés. Yo no sabía inglés en Nicaragua, solo español, y sabía cositas pequeñas en inglés, como por ejemplo the dog, el perro, la mesa. Y aquí cuando vine, yo vine al 11th grade, al grado 11. Y entonces tuve que aprender un idioma nuevo y tomé clases de inglés en una high school. Y también tomé clases que las solo eran en inglés, que no eran en español, eran solo en inglés. Entonces sí, tuve que aprender a la fuerza, tuve que ponerme bien lista y aprender inglés.
¿Cuáles fueron los niños, Ale?
¿Cuáles fueron los niños?
Aye.
¿Cuáles fueron los niños?
Okay.
Okay,
¿Cuáles fueron los niños?
¿Ah?
¿Cuáles fueron los niños? I need to learn Spanish better. Okay, how were the kids there?
Oh, ¿cómo eran los niños allá? Allá, los niños allá, sobre todo los niños pobres, que la mayoría de los niños allá son pobres. Los niños allá tienen que aprender cómo sobrevivir y desde chiquitos ellos van a la escuela, pero trabajan también para ayudarle a su familia. Sus padres también trabajan vendiendo cosas en las calles y los niños también trabajan vendiendo cosas en las calles. Pero son niños muy inteligentes que han aprendido a sobrevivir. Entonces ellos tienen muchas habilidades mentales que tal vez aquí los niños no las llegan a tener porque no las necesitan. Entonces ellos las desarrollan, esas mentalidades, y pueden hacer matemática en la mente sin una calculadora y bien rápido. Y convierten el dinero de dólar a Córdoba y te saben dar el cambio exacto cuando te venden algo en las calles.
Lo hicieron durante los fines de semana y las vacaciones de verano.
No había diferencia de vacaciones de verano ni de fines de semana. Todo era casi muy parecido, que era todos los días, los 7 días de la semana, era guerra política civil y era lo mismo, sobrevivir. Yo era miembro de la Cruz Roja y entonces los fines de semana hacía turno en la Cruz Roja, y cuando habían balaceras entre los dos grupos y habían heridos, entonces íbamos y los recogíamos y los recogíamos en una ambulancia y los llevábamos al hospital, o nosotros le dábamos primeros auxilios y después lo llevamos al hospital. Pero siempre estábamos, cualquier día de la semana había balacera y era bien peligroso.
¿Qué tipo de música escuchabas?
La música que oíamos era música de protesta, protestando siempre contra la riqueza y contra el gobierno que estaba en ese tiempo, que era el gobierno de Somoza.
¿Hubo otras nacionalidades ahí?
Allá, bueno, casi no, antes no, ahora sí hay mucha. En mi salón de clase tenía una compañera que era de aquí, de Estados Unidos, y no era, no tenía familiar ni nada hispano. Entonces ella se fue a vivir a Nicaragua porque sus padres querían que fuera a una escuela de Nicaragua y que se criara de la forma que los niños hispanos se crían. Y pues allá no hay mucha libertad como aquí. Mi padre era bien estricto y todo era bien estricto, no nos dejaban ni salir. Entonces yo creo que hasta la familia de ella quería que ella se criara así.
¿Cómo era la cultura en Nicaragua? ¿Cómo se diferencia de aquí?
Bueno, una de las cosas que era muy notoria es la forma de comer, que aquí la familia casi el almuerzo casi no comen, casi no se ven, tal vez un sándwich nada más, y a la hora de la cena es cuando es la comida fuerte, el plato fuerte. Allá es diferente, allá el plato fuerte es en el almuerzo y en la cena es lo que quedó del almuerzo o casi no, es bien liviana. Eso es una de las cosas que es notoria en la forma de comer y cómo la familia se reúne. Pero otra cosa que es muy notoria es que allá los padres de uno son bien estrictos. Mi papá no quería que tuviéramos ni siquiera amigos varones, no nos dejaba. Entonces yo me tenía que escapar para poder tener amistades y hacer cosas. Y yo era la menor de 7 hijos que ellos tuvieron.
Oh. ¿Tienes algún consejo para los jóvenes latinos aquí?
Que siempre estudien, estudien hasta donde más puedan, que aprovechen la escuela. Aquí en este país hay muchas oportunidades, las escuelas son gratis, te ayudan hasta con los libros, con los cuadernos, y es lo mejor que pueden hacer, siempre ir a la escuela y llegar hasta lo más alto que puedan. Y sí pueden ir a fiestas y hacer toda esa cosa, pero que nunca dejen de ir a la escuela hasta que ya se sientan que están dominando el país en el sentido de tenerle y darle a su familia un buen futuro, porque si ellos hacen bien en la escuela, sus hijos van a seguir el mismo camino y van a hacer muy bien también.
¿Cómo fueron las oportunidades diferentes?
Allá no hay oportunidades casi. En el país de nosotros hay mucha escuela y hay mucho estudio, pero una vez que ya tenés tu título, ya casi no hay trabajos, a menos que seas parte del gobierno. Tenés que ser sandinista y parte del gobierno para poder tener un buen trabajo. Porque si no sos sandinista no te van a dar trabajo, y aunque seas un doctor, si no conoces a la persona apropiada, te van a tener ahí diciéndote sí, vení mañana, vení dentro de un mes, y nada. Y si conoces a la persona apropiada, aunque no tengas un diploma, puedes agarrar un buen trabajo. O sea que las oportunidades son muy limitadas.
Gracias.
Eso es todo. De nada.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So,
It shows.
want to introduce yourself?
You want me to introduce myself?
Okay.
You want me to introduce myself?
Okay.
Okay. So I'm Carla Fine. That's my married name. But my single name is Carla Espinoza. And I've been living here since 1995, here in this house. But I've been in the United States since 1979.
So, where did you grow up?
Actually, it's like the first 16 years of my life were in Nicaragua, Central America, and I came here when I was 16 years old. So I would say growing up in Nicaragua and here more like an adult life.
What was it like growing up in Nicaragua?
Well, that's a good question because in the years that I lived there, it wasn't a regular, I guess, non-political years. There were a lot of politics involved, and we had a civil war. And the civil war ended in 1979, and that's why I moved here, because it was very dangerous to live there. And so growing up there for me was very difficult than the majority of the regular Hispanic people because of the Civil War.
Oh, the Civil War.
Yes, and the Civil War lasted about, the last 3 years were very aggressive, and it ended in 1979 when the president left the country and then a new group took over.
Oh, okay. What was school like in Nicaragua?
It was a lot of fun. Those were the best years of my life. I went to a private school. It was all nuns and only females. So there was another school close by that it was for guys only, and some priests. So after school we would, see each other and talk and all that. But during school, it was very secluded.
Oh.
And it was, we had the best teachers in the city. It was the best school actually in the city that I live in, and we had really good teachers, and academics were very advanced. Were very more advanced than the U.S. I noticed that when I came to the United States that I was more advanced in math, geography, and when I came here I registered in 11th grade, and I was a lot more advanced than kids that were here. They were just learning geography and things like that we had already learned there.
Oh, okay. Did you have to learn a foreign language there?
Here, I had to learn it here. So when I came to the United States, I didn't know any English.
Oh.
We had English classes, but we just learned the basic things like the table, the dog went to the park, things like that. But coming here into high school was very different. I didn't know any English, and I went into I had ESL classes. Back then they were called ESL. Now they're called something different. ESL is like English as a second language. So I had ESL classes to learn English, and I also had some classes where they were only in English.
Oh.
And so I got in trouble all the time because I would get bored. I didn't know what was going on, so I would start, talking and doing things with my friends. And I got in trouble here all the time.
Oh. What were the kids like in Nicaragua?
What were the kids like?
Yeah, were they different or were they the same?
Well, one thing that they are different in a way that is very remarkable, very noticeable, is that kids are very sharp. I mean, not that they're not sharp here, but because there is always that survival instinct in our countries, especially the majority of the people in my country are poor, okay? There is a small percentage of rich people. So the majority are poor, then they learn survival skills. And like, for example, they have to sell candies or whatever in the streets and in the parks.
Oh.
They sell stuff to help their family, and they go to school in the afternoon. But they're so sharp and they're so aware all the time of money and how it works. So if you go there and you pay a kid, let's say you buy something from them,
Yeah.
bread, whatever, and you pay them in dollars, they calculate right away in their mind. They make the conversion from dollars to Cordobas, which is our currency, and they give you the exact change. And they do all that. They don't need calculators or anything. And these are
Wow.
kids,
These are
okay? We're
kids.
talking about kids that are 9, 10, 11, 12 years old,
They know exactly.
they know exactly how much change to give you, and it's not because they have learned it in school. I think they have learned it on the streets.
Wow.
And so it's not like you're gonna go there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fool this kid, I'm gonna give him less money. No. Oh no, they're very sharp because of the survival thing. So other than that, they don't have what we have here. Of course, they may have one pair of shoes, one set of clothes, and that goes for the majority, but not for everyone. There is that group where they can afford those things, and it's a different life. You can see the level, the different classes, of the house. You can see the poor class from the middle class and the high class, very marked and differentiated easily.
Wow. What did you do during the weekends and summer vacation, stuff like that?
Well, see, that's the part where was very different. My years as a teenager were very different from maybe other teenagers because of the Civil War. It was all about war. It was all about me carrying weapons and hiding them in the cemeteries. We had to do that, and we had to be very careful the way we did it because if the government found out, they would kill us.
Wow.
Oh yeah, because we were hiding weapons for the opposite party. So there wasn't like a different like summer vacation or, no, that didn't exist. Or weekends doing nothing versus weekdays. No, weekdays you go to school. I got involved in the Red Cross because there were a lot of wounded people and we didn't have enough people in the Red Cross. So I was a volunteer in the Red Cross. And against my dad's wishes, my dad didn't like that. And then we would be also helping the government that was against the group that was like guerrillas. I don't know if you heard of the guerrillas.
Guerrilla warfare.
Okay, so I was part of the guerrillas group, and so the life was not a really teenager's life. It's like I said, we would carry weapons. We would have strikes in the schools, and we would learn how to shoot just in case it was needed.
You're so tough.
Well, it was the time that I lived made me like that.
Wow.
And not just me. All the kids at my age, when this happened, when we had the Civil War, we were all part of the same thing.
Wow.
And it was so natural that I didn't realize that it was different because that's all I knew, that's all I learned.
Yeah.
So now that I am here and all that, I can see how different it was. And I was only 15, 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really tough.
That's amazing that you actually got to experience all of that.
Oh yeah, and that I'm alive. Yeah, because your life was always at risk. Always. It didn't matter. Like if you were wearing, let's say, green, or you have a backpack that was green, or anything that the government was suspicious of you, they would stop you. And if they start searching you and they find things in your backpack, you go straight to jail.
Wow.
And sometimes you will make it out. That would be it. So yeah, it was really different.
Well,
I hope I'm not talking too much.
no, you're not. Thank you. This is so interesting. What type of music did you listen to?
Guerrillas music.
Guerrillas music.
Yeah, it was all about. It's called protest music.
Protest music. Okay.
Yeah, it was all about protesting the government, the wealthy not getting involved and not helping. It was all about that, but even that we had to do it. How do you say it? Like hide to do it. Like go a place where we had to lock, maybe school where we could lock a classroom or lock the school or a church, so that the outside world didn't know that. So if we were gonna have a concert, which is a concert here, but it was just people playing the guitar and singing all this type of music, and we would sing too. So it would be a big group. We had to hide to do that.
Wow.
But that was the kind of music that I lived back then.
Was there other nationalities in Nicaragua, or mostly Nicaraguans?
Well, back then, not really. But now I went to visit about a year ago, 2 years ago, and now there are a lot of Europeans. Things have changed tremendously. It's a big difference from before. And so now you go there and you don't really need to learn to know Spanish. You can communicate because everyone now has learned English. It's like a big place for tourism now.
Okay.
And so that's now but back then, in my classroom there was a girl, her last name was Shire, who was my classmate, and her parents sent her to Nicaragua because they said the schools were better there and because they wanted more, I guess, less freedom. So she lived there for many years. And now I think she's back here.
Wow.
But yeah, that was that girl.
How is the culture there, and how is it different from here? Like food and stuff.
Well, when it comes to food, one thing that is very different is that here, I guess most families, because usually mom and dad work, they get together more like a dinner time with the families. And usually you don't see, on weekdays especially, you don't see the whole family until dinner time. So dinner here is like the main meal. In my country, or where I was born, breakfast and lunch were the two main meals.
Wow. It's different.
So for lunch, we would come home from school. My dad would come home from his business, and we would sit down and have lunch. But it was like a heavy meal, lunch, and then dinner was very light. So dinner was more like anything that you could, like a bowl of cereal, anything light. And here is the other way around. Here lunch is light, or you eat out or whatever. But the main meal here is dinner. So our main meal was lunch.
Do you have any advice for the young Latin American people here?
People that live here?
Yeah, for Latin American kids here.
Yeah, I think the best thing that they have to, if they're at the age that they can go to school, is take full advantage of a school. I mean, learn as much as possible, learn different things, and you can continue having fun. You can, socialize a lot, but the main thing is to never give up school, because here, for a kid that comes from another country, it's more difficult than, especially because you don't know the language, than it would be a kid that is already live here. And when a kid comes from another country, there are a lot of things that, like when you're not a citizen, there's no citizenship, you're limited in many things, where especially the language and then the citizenship, and they don't have that law anymore, but there was a law that they wanted to pass that if you were undocumented, then you couldn't even go to school. So when you're born here, it's like you're already born with the packet of all the programs and advantages. You come from another country, you have to make those, and you have to learn them, and you have to, once you're here and you learn them, take full advantage of the school. I mean, you can socialize, you can have fun, you can have a lot of friends, but never give up school, because having that knowledge is the power that you need to become successful in this country.
How are opportunities different between over there and here?
Very different. Train.
Opportunities?
Very different. There are no opportunities in my country.
None.
No, 1% maybe. You have to really, it's more like who you know that will help you maybe have some success. It's not what you know, it's who you know. To give you an example, my best friend in Nicaragua is a lawyer. She hardly makes enough to feed herself and her family.
Wow.
Because it's the salaries, opportunities are very limited. If you want to have a job as a lawyer, you need to be part of the government that is in place now. If you're not part of the government, you're not going to have a job. So that's one thing that's very different. You have to be part of that government, meaning that if you're against that government, or you don't If you don't, if you, they're called Sandinistas. So if you say, no, I'm not Sandinista, you're not gonna have a job. Doesn't matter if you're a doctor, a lawyer, doesn't matter what your credentials are, you're not gonna have a job. And for someone that is just going to school and getting a degree or something, if you don't know the right people, you can have more than one degree and you're not gonna have a good job. So there are a lot of people there that are professionals. They went to school, university, everything, but yet they just don't have jobs, or they make so little money that they look for more opportunities, and then they move to the U.S. or other countries where they can have those opportunities. It's very limited, unfortunately.
That's all the questions.
Oh wow, I was short.
Yeah, I'll just stop this.
Okay.